The Sportster released a list of 20 wrestlers who are actually assholes in real life, and while 20 of them would take us a long time to get through, we pulled 6 or 7 of the ones that stood out more than the others, because for some of the wrestlers on the list, they kind of railed off some guys that were just like egomaniacs in the WWE or had problems with other wrestlers, and there's backroom chatter. That happens everywhere. But some of these guys, and I put them in some form of order, are actually assholes in real life. We begin with Greg Valentine. Greg Valentine doesn't seem to have evolved as the years have gone on. While there were various disparaging stories about him, his comments on women in wrestling and society in general were deplorable. He went as far to say that female wrestlers should be fired and head down to work in strip clubs. Quote, they take away jobs from men that need to support their families. They should be home washing dishes and cooking and pregnant and barefoot.
What the
End quote.
fuck?
That's fucked up.
When did this guy say this?
This is years ago, but still.
Was it the 1920s?
Well, even if it was the 1920s, it's not acceptable for the 1920s.
Of course not. It's not acceptable any time, but at least that would give me some sort of reason of why he would say something as deplorable as that. Nonetheless, douchebag. He is in the same bracket as the likes of Sepp Blatter, who thinks girls should only play soccer if they wear shorter shorts and bikinis. Idiot.
Sepp Blatter should have tuned into the NBA in the 70s if you wanted to see people in short shorts.
Short shorts.
They would have liked it. We move forward. Next up, I think we have Kevin Nash. You guys remember Kevin Nash? Late last year, Kevin Nash was arrested on battery charges after getting into a fight with his own son. The 18-year-old claimed his father chided him for coming home drunk, then threw him down by the neck and lay across his chest. Nash, meanwhile, said he wrestled his son to the ground to protect himself and his wife. Nash also has a hostile relationship with wrestling fans and often takes to Twitter to berate people who disagree with him. Don't really care that Nash goes on Twitter and berates people that disagree with him. That's Twitter. You know, getting into these kind of fights with your son, that's a little bit different and obviously needs to be worked out as a family matter. Regardless what side of the story holds the weight, not even just domestic violence against your partner, but the domestic violence against your own kids, it doesn't teach the right lesson. It never has.
But the thing is with the wrestlers, like I say, specifically with American football players and stuff like that, I don't want to get too deep into the conversation, but when you do this for a living and you are probably on an enormous amount of performance-enhancing drugs to get you into the shape that you need to be in to be aesthetically pleasing to be a wrestler, these things are prominent in wrestling. Like, we don't want to take a trip down dark alley, but there is numerous examples of wrestlers just being overly aggressive, and it is an issue. Like, it's something that, as I mentioned with football, maybe there's ways to deal with trying to help and adjust that part of the game. Yeah, so it is an issue that's probably going to be seen throughout this list, I would imagine, when you look through.
Yeah, so we have a few more. Melina played the role of the egotistical diva during her time in the WWE, and by many reports, she lived the gimmick in real life too. She was once reportedly kicked out of the locker room by Lita and told to change in the hallway. Tiffany, Candice, Michelle, Maria Kanellis, Mickie James, and Brooke Adams have all had run-ins with the controversial diva, as many more. Adam once said, quote, she was such a rude fake bitch to everyone, I can't stand her, and neither can most of the rest. I wanted to throw one of the divas on in there at least because, look, I guess the divas have their egotistical personalities as well. We've had on one of the WWE divas before, Elsie Mayhew, who's awesome, and she didn't give us the stories at least about Melina, but she's definitely given us some back information in regards to what goes on behind the scenes, and this is not that surprising.
Yeah, you have to play. It's in your role as your name.
But like, you got to be able to draw the line between being a diva and being a human being.
And that's the thing is it's often like the same way for actors that maybe go off the rails at times. Or a struggle is like
Christian Bale.
Like Christian Bale when he was getting in shape for his role. Like apparently there's weird stories about him going crazy.
Do you want me to go fucking trash your lights? Do you want me to fucking trash them?
And it's like, where do you draw the line? Because it's hard if you're consistently doing it. That's what Hulk Hogan's argument was basically for his case, is that he's constantly Hulk. He's constantly seen in the light. But then it was harder for Gawker to see him as none other than Hulk Hogan, to see him as his other personality, because they're constantly just paraded like that.
Glad you brought up Hulk Hogan, because the list included Hulk Hogan, but I didn't love their description of why Hulk Hogan's an asshole in real life, and the reason he's an asshole in real life is check the video in the description box below about the Gawker trial that we've done. But Hulk Hogan's immediately on this list, if not the number 2. I put him behind New Jack, which we'll get to in a minute, and guys like even Randy Orton. But at the same time, Hulk Hogan, like I go back to his son and the accident. Nick Hogan's friend in life-threatening condition and had brain damage, irreparable brain damage. and they didn't even pay for the reparations to the family, but yet Hulk Hogan gets settled for $140 million. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. I know. We did the whole clip. You're picking between a lesser of two evils, Gawker and Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan's more evil. He's the plate in this instance.
More evil than coffee.
Yeah. Give me the chair, and I'm going to break it over your back. Give me not the chair. We continue. Randy Orton. Randy Orton's one of the fan favorites, too. I know he has a lot of fans.
We ran into Randy Orton,
We
right?
did
So
run
we
into
have
Randy
a
Orton.
first-hand experience
that's right.
of Randy Orton. We were,
At Staples
Jacory
Center.
remembers, he was getting there. We were casually, just in our early days at TYT Sports, this is when the Snoop Dogg interview happened, we're going in through
Back
the-
when we had good guests on TV.
going through the security booth, and this massive individual, is screaming at the security guard, "Do you know who I am? What do you mean I need to walk?" For walking around a fucking barrier.
Yeah.
He wanted to walk straight through. No, he had to take 5 steps around the other way and come in with us sheer peasants who are coming in with our camera equipment and everything else. I had a fucking suit on, mate, all right? I had a suit on.
You're such a Barney Stinson. Suit up.
Suit up!
But Randy Orton has a quote graphic, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to emulate what
I'm
we're
just
saying.
here to read for y'all. Orton's jerk streak came to the fore in the late 1990s when he was discharged from a short-lived stint in the U.S. Marine Corps for bad conduct. He even spent time in prison for this misdemeanor. Top of everything else, Orton has also been suspended several times for violating the wellness policy. Yeah, man, you get released from the you get dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps. You're obviously an asshole. Obviously. We respect the troops. We continue. New Jack. I think this is the worst by far. Francis, let's see if you agree. This man epitomizes the term wrestling jerk. His lowest moments came in 2004 while wrestling William Jason Lane for Thunder Wrestling Federation. Early in the match, Jack pulled out a metal blade and began stabbing Lane repeatedly. He was later accused of stabbing Lane 14 times and spent 3 weeks in jail. 18 months earlier, New Jack wrestled the aging Gypsy Joe in a hardcore match. What unfolded was one of the most brutal fights ever seen. Jack decided to make his point by turning the match into a real fight, bludgeoning Gypsy Joe with a chain, a barbed wire baseball bat, and several chairs. I always break up the chair. Much to the disgust of the crowd.
Is he Negan from The Walking Dead? He's just a barbed wire baseball bat and just really attacking people?
Walking Dead is what I would. I wouldn't use Walking Dead because it's the worst show on TV that nobody, for whatever reason, could stop watching.
That's very true.
We move forward. Vince McMahon made the list.
He did?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with Vince McMahon because he's a businessman. As Vince McMahon himself once said, quote, "Takes a real son of a bitch to be successful in this business," end quote. He's taken the WWE to the top of the wrestling world during his time, but stomped on many people along the way. He's been involved in several real fights with superstars. About 20 years ago, he was charged with illegally distributing steroids to wrestlers in the company, although he was acquitted by a jury. His career has been littered with allegations of sexual harassment. He seems happy enough to turn a blind eye to many transgressions over the last 30 years. He seems to take pleasure in having other wrestlers kiss his butt on air. Oh, and he screwed Bret Hart in Montreal. We'll leave it at that. Some bitterness from the Sportster on that one, but they did a great job putting this together. No harm, no foul. The steroids thing, that's not cool. I mean, even if he was acquitted, and let's say it's not true. Okay, the allegation's not cool.
I fail to believe that it is not true. I do believe that there are some ways to acquit him of it.
OJ didn't murder his wife. Vince McMahon didn't hand out steroids.
This guy's, I mean...
Pete Rose didn't cheat on baseball. Didn't bet on baseball.
Facts. But the same thing is, I do understand the term about being a businessman. You need to be ruthless to be a businessman in this world. Do you think a lot of people in the UFC are like, Dana White's a stand-up guy? He's great. He's really nice.
Sepp Blatter. You know who I want to go out to dinner? I want to go with Dana White, Vince McMahon, Sepp Blatter, and Donald Trump.
I think we did do a clip on that before. It's just the worst, like, executives in their respective sports. So you get Roger Goodell, you get Sepp Blatter, now you get Vince McMahon, Dana White. There is a bunch, man. They must be all in their own club. And I tell you what, I don't want to be part of that club.
Yeah,
I don't, Jason. Unless I can get some sort of money.
Unless we get the WWE Championship belt.
Oh, no, we've only got a mock one.
I know, it's the Fantasy Sports Championship belt, which we had to send to Pittsburgh. Jesus. Because that's where the office is who won the TYT Sports pool. Stole that belt from Jenk. I actually rightfully won that belt from Jenk. It's got to be New Jack. He stabbed the guy 14 times.
Of course.
Can't even
just
be,
no,
like,
no...
like no one else comes close. Hulk Hogan's up there. But who else do you think are giant assholes in real life that are WWE stars in the ring? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the WWE. Make sure to check out Josh Gibbs, our TYT Sports WWE correspondent. He's been doing a fantastic job in terms of WWE coverage for you guys. He'll be coming back on, I believe, Monday or Sunday night for WrestleMania.
WrestleMania is happening.
And once again, give Francis the chair.
Fuck! And what the fuck is it with you?
I was looking at the light.
Fuck! And what the fuck is it with you?
I was looking at the